Hello everybody and welcome to this very short and brief video. Here I'm going to clarify the differences for the A+ 1101 CompTIA examination that you'll need to know between the Cat5, Cat5e, Cat6, Cat6a cables. I made a video already on this, completely going over exam objective 3.1, but I received a great comment down here, and the comment says, according to the CompTIA study guide, Category 5 has a max transfer rate of 100 megabits per second and 100 meters max distance, and it operates on 100 base TX. It's on topic 4C, page 135, the official CompTIA A+ Core 1 and Core 2 study guide. So basically, in my video, I said that, where is my table here? In my table, I put this information out there that Cat5 operates on the 1000 base T Ethernet standard. It has a potential throughput of 1000 megabits per second. But in the official CompTIA A+ exam study guide, it has different information. I want to go through and clarify this right now, okay? I want to just flag first, if you're currently feeling confident with this information, I don't suggest you worry with this video. I don't think that this particular difference between the Cat5 and Cat5e is worth spending a lot of time studying, purely because you're not going to get that kind of specific questions on this. There's a lot of other things you'll get very specific questions on. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fuss about the specific differences between Cat5 and Cat5e, but let's just clarify as much as we can. So, first things first, you might type into Google and you might find something that says, you'll type in what speed is Category 5 cable, and you might get something that tells you, oh, okay, it can go from 10 to 100 megabits per second. The Category 5 cable speed is rated for 10 to 100 megabits per second, up to 100 meters. Just take note of the wording here. The Category 5 cable is rated. It's officially rated for 10 to 100 megabits per second. So that doesn't mean that that's its potential throughput, though. That's what it's officially rated for, right? So we're going to just keep that difference in our head. We might then go ahead, do some further research. We'll go ahead and we'll have a look at Category 5 cabling speed, explained. What are the differences here? And this is where we start to get some clarity, okay? So I'm just going to take us through a couple of paragraphs to discuss why there might be this confusion here. So I'll start here. The Category 5 speed is capable of 10 to 100 megabits per second and frequencies of up to 100 megahertz, all at a length of up to 100 meters. The Category 5 performance is set by, which are engineering standards set by a group of individuals to give manufacturers, businesses, and individuals clear expectations on cable performance. These guidelines are relative to the market and are formed with many people from the telecom industry to manufacturers. So, right, it's designed to give people the clarity of what to expect, right? Keep that in mind, 10 to 100 megabits per second. Here we go, though. Here comes some clarification. More specifically, Cat5 cable speed is set, and the standard was introduced in 1991. Okay, so they introduced this standard in 1991. However, with the advancement in technology, Ethernet standards have been able to maximize the life of Ethernet cable categories. Category 5 cable was created for 100 megabits per second, but with the creation of the 1000 base T, or gigabit Ethernet, you are able to run gigabit speeds using the 4 pairs of Cat5 cable. It is recommended, however, to keep this channel length as short as possible for Cat5 cable. So what that's essentially telling us, guys, is Category 5 cable was made for 10 to 100 megabits per second, and then in came gigabit Ethernet, 1000 base T Ethernet standard. Now these Cat5 cables could still run this, but they just weren't officially tested for it. So what they had to do then is they introduced something called Cat5e, all right? And that is what we're gonna have a look at now. But just so far, keep in mind, Cat5 could run 1000 base T, the standard, at 1000 megabits per second. That was possible. Now that brings me to this kind of Reddit post, which is from people in the industry, okay? My Cat5 cables are running at 1000 megabits per second. How is this possible? I always believed it was Cat5 was 100 megabits per second, Cat5e was 1000 megabits per second, and Cat6 we won't get into Cat6. Okay, we'll just stick to the relevant topic for today. So he's kind of confused. He's doing a speed test. His Cat5 cable is getting the same as his Cat5e. How can this be happening? According to the official documentation, that shouldn't be possible. Let's take a look. Where was it? So you read through these comments and everyone's like, yes, this absolutely can happen. Cat5 can run this. And then I think this one is of particular note. Category 5 and Category 5e cables are physically identical. The only differences were the verification tests used to qualify a cable as Category 5e. So that's why in my video, I said there were some additional tests performed to show that Cat5e was capable of some higher performance, but I didn't really go into specifics because I don't want you to waste your valuable study time dialing into that. Now, again, as we continue to research, I read in some articles that Cat5 is used in 1000 base T and supports up to 1000 megabits per second. However, 1000 base T operates at 1000 megabits per second. How is that possible? Great question. Those articles would be wrong then. 1000 base T is 1000 megabits per second, period. Network controllers might have to fall back to 100 base TX, which is the original Ethernet standard of Cat5, if a 1000 base T link can't be established though. So, what we're getting, guys, basically is Cat5 absolutely can operate on 1000 base T. It does have a potential throughput. It can reach 1000 megabits per second. Cat5e, however, is confirmed to do that officially. So Cat5 has that potential throughput. It can do it 100%. It can run and has been shown to run on the 1000 base T Ethernet standard. So what does this mean for you? What does this actually mean? What this means is this is the information I want you to recall. Because in terms of the difference between Cat5 and Cat5e, you're not likely to be asked such a nitty-gritty specific question on this particular topic about the difference in potential throughput between Cat5 and Cat5e. And I'm largely what's the word when you're not sure or you're skeptical? I'm largely skeptical of that purely because of how kind of vague it is. It's not a clear line, right? So you might get a question that says, officially, before the 1000 base T Ethernet standard was released, what Ethernet standard did Category 5 Ethernet cabling run on? What were they officially verified to run on? But I don't think you're going to be asked that. There's a lot of other parts of the exam that you're going to be asked nitty-gritty information on, and I don't think the difference between Cat5 and Cat5e is going to be one of them. And that's why I wanted to keep this as a concept for you to remember. And the simple concept that you should remember for your exam, if what you're interested in is passing your exam, the official concept is Category 5e has had some additional testing which further verifies its performance and its ability to reliably reach that potential throughput. And that is why Category 5e is considered a newer cable, while Category 5 is considered an older cable. And generally, you're only going to find Category 5 in existing infrastructure. I hope that clarified it, guys. Just to be clear, one more time, Category 5 is an older cable. When it was created, it was created before the 1000 base T Ethernet standard. But once the 1000 base T Ethernet standard came out, Category 5 could run on it. However, after the creation of the 1000 base T Ethernet standard, Category 5e was officially verified to be able to run at that standard. Okay, but they both can operate on that standard, and as far as you should be concerned for your exam, in my mind anyway, they both operate on this standard, and they definitely both have a potential throughput of this. They can both reach that, as we saw from those people working in the industry who had that happen. Now, I guess the caveat to that is, if you get asked such a specific question as to, prior to the release of the 1000 base T Ethernet standard, what did the Category 5 Ethernet cabling run on? That might be a situation in which you need to talk about how it would operate on 100 base TX Ethernet standard. but I highly doubt that. And there's so many things that you're going to need to remember for your exam. I don't want you to focus on this because I think it would be an inefficient use of your time. That's why when I create my learning guide and my practice exams and my performance-based questions, I try to focus on what you're going to need to spend the most time on. A lot of these A+ official resource study guide books, they've got a lot of detailed information, but they're that thick, and you don't necessarily need to go through a book that is that thick to pass this exam successfully and confidently. So my goal is to help you pass the exam successfully and confidently without stressing too much over little details that you are not even likely to be tested on. All right, the speeds, the difference between Cat5, Cat5e, and Cat6, Cat6a, how they operate on different Ethernet standards, much more likely. So that's one that you're much more likely to need to know. The potential throughput of Cat5 cables and Cat6 cables, absolutely. The lengths, the difference between shielded and unshielded, direct burial cables, all that stuff, yes, you'll need to make sure you've spend time focusing on that. But for this, guys, I don't think that's one of them. So just remember, Category 5 and Category 5e both operate on 1000 base T. They both have a potential throughput of 1000 megabits per second. And Category 5 is older. You can't really buy it anymore. Category 5e is newer and is the one that's currently sold in retail outlets. Hopefully that clarified things, guys. If you have any issues, let me know in the comments below. But that's how I want you to think of it for your exam. That is my advice. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.